Ladies and gentlemen, the star of Politically Incorrect, Bill Maher.
Thank you very much. All right, let us meet our esteemed panel. His band is the New Animals. His CD is the official live bootleg 2000. His book, Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. Hit stores in the fall. Eric Burdon. Hey. How you doing? I'm a fan. You're a wild man. Have a seat. She is a law professor, conservative policy analyst, and the former director of legal affairs for the Independent Women's Forum, Darlene Kennedy. Darlene? There you are, honey. How you doing? Thank you for coming. She is a dancer, actress, and one of the three sisters in Three Sisters, Thursdays After Friends on whatever network that show is on. Katherine LaNasa. Katherine, right here. What network is that? NBC. Okay, NBC. How are they doing? He's a very funny man and the greatest daredevil superstar entertainer in the world today, Super Dave Osborne. Super Dave. I bow to you, sir. Okay. All right. Well, let's talk a little about this guy, Jeffords. This is a... Boy, I didn't even know about this until this week, I guess. Nobody did. He switched sides. Worked for Anne Heche. I kid. He says he's a fiscal conservative and a social moderate, and most people are that, he says. And I would sort of agree with that. It seems like his party, the Nobody's Party, exactly, is the party that more people would want to be in. Why can't the two parties be more like this guy?
Here's what's interesting. Yesterday, am I interrupting you?
I wish you would.
Okay. Yesterday, the Republicans were saying it's not final yet. We're going to talk to him.
Right.
Then when he made his decision, I heard on the news that the Republicans are saying the reason that he became an independent is possibly he could be involved with Bonnie Lee Blakely.
You mean Robert Blake?
Yes.
That seems like a slur, Bob.
Well, I almost didn't get it out. That's why it was a slur.
What? Go ahead.
I love the look on your face there. It was like, all right, and now on to something real.
I mean, this is not shocking. I mean,
it's not shocking?
Well, he's consistently voted liberal. I mean, he's pro-choice. He votes mostly with the Democrats. So for him to go over to the other side, just changing titles is really not a big difference. I mean, if you look at the figures, over the last 20 years, we've had more Democrats turn Republican, which must tell you something. And the fact is, he went to be, he became an independent.
Think about
the education system. And look at the fact that George Bush's tax agenda was passed by 2/3 of the Senate, despite the fact that this thing with Jeffords was going on at the same time. So,
yeah, but I don't think a lot of other issues would be passed if the Senate was Democrat.
But, you know,
well, not necessarily.
Shouldn't the Democrats have like a ball this weekend where they go back and dance and celebrate a victory?
That would make John Ashcroft mad.
Well, I'd rather have, Nixon in the White House than Bush.
What did you say?
I like Bush so little, I would rather have Nixon, I think, than Bush. I don't understand. It seems like that's a great loophole in the system that you can run as, one-party member and just change your mind.
That is a good point. I might feel a little betrayed if I was a Vermont Republican, but the Vermonters are so independent. God bless. Let's give a fruit basket to Vermont for being, not because he did this, but just because the country needs more people who think outside the box. People who think independently. He's a hero for this.
This was exciting. It was different.
Right.
And never before has it changed, and it changed the Senate.
Right. This is big. I know they're trying to play it down like it's not, but it is big.
Well, you have people...
Big.
I think that's, you're going to have chairmanships change, but still, they're going to have to work with the president. The president, yes, he is going to have to work with them. No, I think it's more
that he's going to have to work with them, and I think,
well, remember, the Republicans still run the House, and so, he still has a majority there.
They don't run the House and the Senate now.
But isn't this a bit of a wake-up call? I mean, people say to me sometimes recently, they say, Bill, you're awfully hard on President Bush.
Oh, I'm glad you finished that.
Boy. A joke always gets applause. That's what I love. But
it's going to bring some balance is the thing. I mean, if it brings some balance, then it's just a great thing.
Yeah, well, balance, but also maybe perspective in that, you know, I think a lot of us, you know...
Is it me, or is the pace of this show a little slow? It just seems like it's not my fault. I'm just saying it just seems a little slow.
It's you.
Oh.
Compared to what show?
I don't know.
You know,
I felt like I was watching this rather than being on it.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Why don't we tear everything up and start again with a new concept in government and have a women's Congress and a male Congress? Maybe we'd jump into war.
A women's Congress and a male...
A separate Congress of women and a separate Congress of men.
Because you think those two...
That's the definition.
That may balance things off somewhat. We may not be too anxious to rush into all of these wars that we invent.
So instead of Republicans and Democrats, men and women, like the Academy Awards, two categories. There's no reason really why an actor should be against an actress.
What are we talking about? What are you talking about?
Separation of balance.
He said it.
I know, but
some people like a marriage.
Well, he's a guest.
I understand.
He's a guest on the show. I have to pretend it's real.
But the fact of the matter is, the American people elected these folks in office, and there's no rule that says that you have to have 50-50 or it has to be even or fair. I mean, this is politics. You're going to have a majority, you're going to have a minority, and that's the breaks of politics. So I guess you're saying that we're going to have balance. How is that balanced by having one person leap ship?
Well, not balance so much.
An independent and just change
the whole thing with the environment. If you were an environmentalist at all, I mean, I think my blood pressure must have just gone up since this guy's come into office. It's just like a tornado. I can't believe
that's what I was getting at.
I'm thrilled about it as, you know, just in terms of my values. I mean, do I agree with the fact that you should just be able to be elected as one party and just change your mind once you're in office? I think that's a little strange.
Right.
But, I mean, for me, it's proof that there's a God.
Well, for me, it's proof that, like, I think a lot of people had some anger about this president because he seemed to run as a centrist. He seemed to run as the compassionate conservative, and it didn't take him long once he got in that it kind of looked like he went really hard, very quickly. And I think is this not a bit of a wake-up call saying, look, even when one of your own party goes, whoa, buddy, I thought you were a little something different than what we got.
But again, this gentleman has consistently voted with the Democrats, so this is not, I mean, other than him doing it at the time that he did. But
he never switched parties before,
it's great that it can be done. It's a great country that we can have this happen. That we can, in the middle of a term, that the Senate can change hands. It's fantastic.
Well, that's less meaningful than what he said. What do you mean?
Look, he was talking about a men and women's Congress.
I know, and you're like, you went right to it's a great country. Wow.
No, I said it's
what are you, Yakov Smirnoff?
Yes, I am. I'm trying to be. I am from Russia, if you want to know the truth. And I'd rather be watching this in Russian. I don't understand it more.
Stop complaining about the show. You're on it. I don't see the other. I don't see the other shows inviting you.
Oh my God.
Or it's slow, it's no good, he wants to be in Russia. Well, we're going to take a commercial. Some people are paying for this. Thank you very much. What may be the biggest blockbuster of all time, Pearl Harbor, had its big sneak preview opening tonight. Audiences seem to love it, but President Bush said he doesn't see what all the fuss is about. He said, you want to talk about sneak attacks? How about that rat bastard from Vermont, Jeffords? Now that Senator Jeffords has made it official, left the Republican Party, here's how it goes for those of you keeping score. The House controlled by the Republicans, the Senate by the Democrats, and the White House still by ExxonMobil. I kid the president. He loves it. Okay, let's talk about Jackass. We did this a few weeks ago, but since then there have been a couple of more accidents. You probably saw there was a kid who was hit by a car because he was trying to do a Jackass stunt. Another one, a 13-year-old boy, got burned when he tried to be a human barbecue. And now a 21-year-old model, a girl model, Stephanie Hodges, used a mattress to rocket off a snowbank and... yourself, and, you know, it's okay when guys are getting hurt, but models, now I'm upset. And why anyone, you know, this Johnny Knoxville would give himself a fake name and do dangerous stunts on TV.
Oops.
My kid, Super Dave. Now, there's a... Let's show some of Dave's work coming into the real one. I'll show you how much they look alike, but now I want to talk about how different they are. Now, this is...
What could be worse?
Dave, we all... Dave, that was the funniest show.
All right, we're stopping.
You know, oh, this is my... Okay, now that's comedy. Where's the one with the, where's the real one now? Don't we have the real kid on Jackass getting, no? Okay, now, here, it looks exactly like your stunts. No, he's not. But the different, okay, well, you know, of course, we have to see it again because, yeah, I mean, it looks exactly like one of your stunts. So that kid is not that hurt, believe it or not. My question is, what has happened in our culture between when you were doing your show, when people would laugh at just what was obviously a stunt, and nobody tried to imitate it, nobody ever got hurt watching your show, it was so ridiculous. And now they seem to think they have to do it for real. Isn't that
well, the
I think the wrestling has a lot to do with that.
Yes.
I think so too.
My son is really into the wrestling. That's really popular with kids. I think that has a lot to do with it.
And the difference is, obviously, what I did, I was really very careful when I did things that kids couldn't imitate it. I mean, if your father wants to buy you a bus and put you on top of it with a piano and drive you under a bridge, you can imitate what I do. This guy, the Jackass, does things, and kids see that, and then they want to do it and send in tape to get on the show. I mean, I think it comes back to the parents. First of all, what I would do with the show is move it later at night and change the name from Jackass.
It's on at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
But if you're a parent, you've got to spend time with your kids. You've got to find out what they're doing. Watch the show with them. If you're sitting in your living room and your kid walks by and he's covered with gas and he's got a blowtorch, ask him where he's going.
I know where he's going. He's going to the garage to check on his pipe bombs. Go ahead.
You know, parents need to take responsibility for their kids. We all know that. But the bottom line is, what about these networks taking responsibility for what they're putting on the air? I mean, I'm the first one to advocate free speech. But there also should be responsibility. And I agree. I mean, I remember watching your show, and I remember seeing it on television.
At night, though.
On Sunday, it could
on
be
a cable network.
It could be on midnight. I mean, you know, parents can monitor their kids for so far, and if a kid wants to see something, their friends, their buddies can videotape it, bring it in, they can watch it.
I don't understand
just blame the parent.
The parental participation when you look out the window and your kid is standing in the street and his friend is driving a car at him at 60. I don't know why you wouldn't say
40. 40.
We've been bringing kids to circuses, you know, since the beginning of time. People have been eating fire, and when I was a kid, there was Evel Knievel. You know,
right.
I don't know.
You can't control what kids watch on television now, though. You can't, because most people watch, a lot of people watch television from satellite, and the satellite comes through a different time zone. So kids can switch on in the afternoon and watch pornography right in their face. When, you know, I mean, how can you control that? And also in the hotel room.
Wait a second.
In hotel rooms.
You're saying if you get the dish, you can get pornography in the afternoon?
That's the only time of day you haven't been getting it.
I did not realize that. Well, I don't think most people have satellite.
But I'd rather have lots more sex and less violence on any level.
Well,
now
we're back to your idea about Congress.
Why is it all right to see people blown apart with Uzis and then afraid of this female breast, corrupting kids, when it's the first they come into this world, weaning on that thing. Them coming sucking on an Uzi.
So what you're saying is, if that kid had dressed up like a breast and got hit by the car, it would have been okay.
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had dozed off. You're right. It is kind of slow. We'll take a break. We'll be back.
Join us tomorrow when our guest will be international icon David Hasselhoff, Spin City's Michael Boatman, gossip columnist A.J. Benza, and political commentator Casillas Galinos.
Rudy Giuliani, he of the Big Apple love triangle, I've been following this, is appealing the court ruling that came down this week, barring his girlfriend from entering his official residence. He said not only should he be entitled to have her over like any other guest, but it is very unseemly for the mayor of New York to be getting laid in his car. And that's true. Come on. Okay. All right, you were talking about parents. We're debating that, what the role of parents. Get this. I read this article recently that said among the jobs now that Americans really don't want to do because the pay is lousy and the respect is worse is school teacher. They're importing all these school teachers from overseas. So now your kids are raised by nannies who are not American. They go to schools taught by people who are immigrants, doctors are very often from another land. I mean, I love people from other lands. We are all from other lands. But, I mean, are we not sort of becoming decadent like ancient Rome, where we don't do anything ourselves? Everything is sort of farmed out to the immigrant community. I don't know if that...
Well, it's kind of sad that teachers are paid so low...
Very sad.
I don't want to use the word Americans again because you'll say something.
It's the same in every country.
No.
It's the same in every country. It's the same in Britain.
Why aren't teachers paid more money?
I agree. And you don't have to be wearing red, white, and... Anyway, the point is... Yes.
Always works.
You know, this is no big surprise. For years in the universities and the colleges, we've had people coming from Asia, from India, teaching our sciences and our math.
Yeah.
It's a little concerning to me that we don't have more people going into that field from this country. Now, don't get me wrong, I support people who come here legally and want to make a better life for themselves and their families. That's, as you said, that's what America's built on. But there is something happening where people are, you know, Americans are feeling, well, we don't need to do this type of job. We can farm it out to other people.
Right.
I mean, there was a time when people would do anything to have a job.
Well, it's the same in every country. It's not just this country. It's the same in Europe, too.
Yeah.
The teachers are the lowest paid. And you know, it used to be because they would accept the lowest pay because teaching was a vocation, not a job.
Really?
It was, yeah.
That's how they look.
Like being a cop used to be a vocation. You did it because your father was a cop, your grandfather was a cop.
Right.
Now it's like, how much money can I get? Which police department am I going to work for? What kind of graft can I get? Am I going to get the Hollywood division? Am I getting ramparts or whatever? So I can get it.
Yeah.
Kind of a soft society. I think the problem with it for me is that we become dependent on people that aren't citizens of our country. And so, I mean, we've done that across the board, but it's sort of like the substructure of our country is held up by oftentimes illegal aliens, you know, and immigrants. And what if, you know, we've gotten so soft, we've gotten so secure.
I was discussing...
And lazy.
Yeah, and lazy.
It's
but,
one
you know,
thing not to want to blow your own leaves.
But and now the labor unions really are dependent now on these illegal aliens because to wield, you know, more political power because there's not enough, enough citizens.
That's exactly right. And coming over here, I was discussing that with my Panamanian driver.
There's not enough American citizens that want to do these low-paying jobs.
But it's amazing that teacher is one of them now.
Yeah,
I agree with you. But it's because they don't pay them enough money, and that's what the HMOs were about to do to the medical profession.
So how do we change that?
Work harder and get out of bed on Sundays to tend your shop. Because if you don't...
I don't have a shop.
The Pakistanis will. The Pakistani immigrant will.
Yes, exactly.
This is what happened in England.
I'm talking about
the English are a nation of shopkeepers.
Yes.
Okay? Always have been known for that. The Indian immigrants come in, and they're better at it, and they stay open on Sundays.
Right.
Because the Brits want to stay in bed and watch television.
People here are like, gee, how did every deli get to be Korean overnight?
Exactly.
Well...
Because they're open.
Yeah, because they work their ass off.
But that's still... that doesn't answer the teacher problem.
No.
How do we get more money for teachers? Everyone says this. What do we do?
Right. It's so hypocritical. We all say children, and everything is about the children, and education is number one priority. But when it comes time to with the taxes, they don't want to pay for it.
You mix that together with the you mixed up the breakup of the family unit alongside of low teachers' pay and bad education. That's why kids want to gravitate towards gangs and form their own families.
Oh, wow. I wish we could get into that, but we can't. We have to take a break. That's interesting, though. There's Mr. Burdon's bootleg official albums. Tomorrow we have David Hasselhoff, Michael Boatman, A.J. Benza, and Cecilia Scalinos.